Hello everybody, welcome to St. Olaves Homework Booklet number 6 walkthrough. So we are starting off the comprehension section with a text called Fixed on Lincoln, and just to give a little bit of context because the rest of the questions will be easier, this one is primarily about the inauguration day of Abraham Lincoln as he just got re-elected, and it talks about the weather, it talks about the setting of the scene, and we meet this guy, John Wilkes Booth, who definitely doesn't share the same opinions as him. Abraham Lincoln was known to abolish slavery. However, John Wilkes Booth he was part of the Southern cause, and he believed African Americans were unequal to whites and should remain as slaves. So you can see that there's very much, he does not admire Lincoln, and he has a couple of co-conspirators who wanted to help him to assassinate him, and he was basically listening to a speech at the theatre on the balcony and was just talking about the stuff he'd wanted to do for the Southern cause. So question number 1, what was the primary reason John Wilkes Booth hatched a scheme to kidnap Lincoln? So he did want to fight for the Southern cause, but not in the Civil War, because he did say that he was cowardly and couldn't fight in the war. And it doesn't really touch on his personal grievances because he wants to still fight for the cause. That's not his personal grievance. And then he admired Lincoln. We definitely know that isn't true, because he thought that Lincoln was definitely the tyrant responsible for all the country's troubles. Therefore, B is the option. So for number 2, we definitely know he didn't admire him because they shared different opinions about slavery and white supremacy, and he definitely didn't consider him compassionate and fair. It would definitely be between C and D, and Lincoln was not sympathetic to the Southern cause because the Southern cause was about slavery and white supremacy, and Lincoln was not for that. Therefore, the answer is C. So what actually prevented him for the Southern cause? He said himself that he has deemed himself a coward and had started to despise his own existence. So it doesn't talk about physical disabilities, it's literally because he deemed himself a coward and started to hate himself. So which one seems the most probable is that this one is a word-for-word quote, and he didn't talk about disabilities. It doesn't say anything about an aversion to war, and he definitely was emotionally committed. He just was too cowardly to fight in the war for it. So it's important to go back and look at all of the backgrounds of the co-conspirators. One was just a druggist clerk, the other one was just a wagon painter. So they weren't all skilled fighters and military veterans. We can say that they shared the same beliefs as Booth, however, in terms of wanting to get rid of Lincoln, but we don't know that it's rooted in white supremacy. They could be wanting to get rid of Lincoln for some other reason, maybe his other beliefs. So we can't definitely say that there was the fervent belief in white supremacy. And they weren't all members of the same Confederate military union. Again, we had a wagon painter, so they come from very diverse backgrounds and level of competence. So why did he actually want to kidnap Lincoln? I wouldn't say that kidnapping leads to a peaceful resolution, just by context. So, and we know that his feelings were much more passionate than just wanting a peaceful resolution. He actively didn't like Lincoln. And again, this isn't about his personal struggles. We had this in a different question. It's not about the personal struggles, it's about the Southern cause. And in terms of political leverage and influence over the Union government, the only one from the passage that we can confidently say is that he wanted to end, this whole thing is about the Civil War and the Southern cause. Therefore, C is the most appropriate one for question 5. So Booth's admiration for the co-conspirators is that, if we go back, these conspirators were named, they were a worshipful band of dubious conspirators willing to help out. So he did not class them as mentally handicapped, and he wasn't hesitant to trust them, definitely not. It says that he saw them as worshipful followers who admired his plan. So when it talks about his assassination during the inauguration specifically, is that during the inauguration, he was just a few yards away from Lincoln, and his vantage point on the balcony would have allowed him to kill him in the crowd. So, coming back to the question, it does talk about how it doesn't say anything about bold statement or this as a symbol. We're talking about the assassinating Lincoln during the inauguration specifically. The only bit that talks about that in the passage is it was a crowded event and he had a good vantage point, which would provide a good opportunity. So in the first one, yes, we do talk about the assassination attempt and the Confederation. However, in the opening paragraph is what we're focusing on. In this opening paragraph, the US Capitol building had just been complete, but what we are focusing on, the whole point of this text, is the inauguration day. So it's only talking about the US Capitol to build up to the inauguration. So it is B. It does actually talk about the weather for question number 9 in some detail. So there was a significant impact, and if you look back, there is the direct quote that the clouds parted, flooding the stands with brilliant sunlight. And that direct quote is over here. So from the text, we know that he deemed himself a cowardly and self-loathing individual. So we have straight evidence from the text to support that. He wasn't very compassionate and empathetic because he believed in slavery and white supremacy. So C is the only option, and that is the comprehension section. So we're starting off with the math section with question number 11, and with angle A, we can see that these are vertically opposite angles. So when you see anything crossed over, this angle will always be equal to this angle. They are vertically, let's write that here, vertically, now the handwriting, vertically opposite. Vertically opposite angles. So this one will be 95. For B, if we know that there is 180 degrees in this entire triangle, we need to do 180 minus 95 minus, or 95 plus 28, which will give us angle B, which is equal to 57. 57. Then, if this one is equal to 57, we can see that B and C are on straight angles, which means the entire thing is 180 degrees. So if this entire thing is 180 degrees, we need to do 180 minus 57, which will give us 123 degrees for angle C. So to calculate the value of x, we know there's 180 degrees in a triangle. We need to do 180 minus 84 minus 48, which is equal to 48 degrees. This also means, and let's notice that these are isosceles. Right, I didn't even see the next question, but if these two angles at the base are similar, we can note them like that. This means the triangle is isosceles, just like that. And from the last question, we know that these angles are vertically opposite. If this one is 84, then this one is 84 too. So for x, we know that 180 degrees in a triangle, we need to do 180 minus 72 minus 73. Let's write that here. X is equal to minus 33, which should give us 75 degrees. Now, how do we find y? This whole thing over here is equal to 180 degrees. That's 180. So to find out y, we get 180 is equal to 33 plus, how many y's are made up of 1, 2, 3? 33 plus 3y. Let's rearrange this. And then we end up with 180 minus 33 is equal to 3y. Let's figure that out. That's 147 is equal to 3y. Therefore, y is equal to that divided by 3, which is 49 degrees, and that's our answer. So angle A is not an acute angle because we can see that if it's from a square, it is in fact a right angle. It's neither acute or obtuse. Therefore, this one would be a cross. Then we have angle F. Is it an obtuse? We can see that 180 degrees is here and 90 is here. Therefore, if it's more than 90, less than 180, then it is an obtuse angle. Line BC is parallel to CD, so BC is over here. It's parallel to CD. We can see that they meet. Parallel means that they never meet. They look like this, like train tracks. Therefore, they are not parallel. We can put a cross there. Next one, line AB is perpendicular to DE. Now, perpendicular means you make a right angle. So, for example, these are perpendicular. They make a right angle. But AB and DE, let's highlight that. They are in fact parallel. They are not perpendicular. Therefore, we are crossing them. So for angle A, we know there are 360 degrees in a triangle. So we need to do 360 minus 88 minus 192. And then we get the remaining bit, which is A, which will give us 80 degrees. And you can check that doing the column subtraction or using a calculator. And then for B, we also know that, don't be fooled, it doesn't say, we can't automatically say it's a right angle, even if it looks like one. We know 180 degrees in a triangle. To find out B, we do 180 minus 51 minus 37, which will give us 92 degrees. So for 16, we definitely know that from 12 to 3, that's always going to be a right angle, and a right angle is 90 degrees. For the next ones, however, we need a little bit more calculation. If we know there are 12, for a whole clock, we have 12 markings, right? We have 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. If there are 360 degrees in a clock, we can divide that by 12. Therefore, and just move that up so you can see it, then we know that one marking, so between 12 to 1 to 2, they are equal to 30 degrees. Now between 12, so the hour hand is at, the minute hand is at 12 and the hour hand is at 5. So how many markers do we have? We have 12, we have 5 markings, 12 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Therefore, if one marking is 30, to find 5, we have to multiply that by 150, and that is the answer. So to get 830, this is at 6, and let's say 8 is around here. We know we're at halfway between 8 and 9, which means this little half bit, we need to account for that. So let's see, we have 6 to 7 is 30, and then 7 to 8 is another 30, but then the hour hand is 15 degrees past because it's in the middle. It's 8:30, not 8 o'clock on the dot. We have an extra 15 degrees that we need to account for. So the last one is 30 plus 15, which is equal to 75. So for question 17, 10%, how many students chose chips? 10% equals to 1/10, and we need to find 1/10 of 250. So when we find 1/10, we end up that we have 25 students who chose chips. So for how many degrees is pizza? We know 20% is equal to 1/5. So if pizza is 1/5 of the entire circle, we know the entire circle is 360 degrees. When we simplify this, 5 goes into 36 7 times, we're left with 1, and then 5 goes into 10 2 times, so we're left with 72. So for 18, we're going to have to draw a diagram. And I always like to draw a nice looking scalene triangle so I don't get confused with, oh, this looks like a right angle. So we know that one is 40 degrees, and I know that of these two remaining, one is going to be x, and this one is going to be 3 times larger than that angle, so it's going to be 3x. Now, if I know there are 180 degrees in a triangle, we know that x plus 3x plus 40 is equal to 180 degrees. Now, Let's simplify this. We have 4x over here, and when we subtract 40 from both sides, we get 140 over here. So this leaves us with x being 35, if that's correct. Yep, 4 goes into 14. 3 times 2, 5. Yes, 35. So the largest angle, remember to read all parts of the question, is 3x. So if x is 35, that means 3x equal to 35 times by 3, which is equal to 105. What is the value of x? X is simply a straight line, so we know that will be 180. Well, let's write that there. And we know y is a two-step problem. This whole thing is 180, it's a straight line. So this is equal to 180 minus 70, which is equal to 110. And then 100 plus 2y, let's write that down, plus 2y, and just scroll down so you can see, is equal to 180. Therefore, that should be 110. 110 over here. Therefore, 2y is equal to 70. Therefore, 1y is equal to 70 divided by 2, which is equal to 35. So if the total number of cats in the survey was 48, let's figure out how many pets there are in total first. So 120 over 360, because 360 in total in a pie chart, 120 is equal to 48. So that means 1/3, if we simplify this, 120 over 360 is equal to, I'm just going to carry it on over here, 1/3 is equal to 48. So how many in the whole pets? How many pets in total? Let's write it down over here. Total is equal to 48 times 3. And that is 48 times 3, which is equal to 144. So there are 144 pets in total. How many hamsters, now that we know this, we have to answer the question. Hamsters is 60 over 360, which is equal to 1/6. Now let's find that as a proportion of 144, which is equivalent to 6 goes into 14 2 times, you have 2 left over. 4, we have 24 hamsters. Dogs is a little bit more of a process. This whole thing is 180 degrees. That means that dogs has to be 150, since we have to subtract 30 from this 180. So 150 over 360 as a proportion of the circle, multiplied by 144. I've just scrolled down so you should be able to see we cross these out. 3 goes into 15 5 times, and 3 goes into 36 12 times. 12 goes into 144 12 times. We're left with 5 times 12, which gives us 60 dogs. And that is the end of the math section. So we're starting off with section NVR with question number 31, and we have to find the next one in the sequence. And so straight away when I see different coloured things, I count how many. So we're going to count black dots. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's write these down. 5, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make that a bit clearer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So in the sequence, we have 5, 7, 5, 7. Next one has to be 5. So let's count which one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This one I can see by looking at it that it is 5 left. So it is E. So for 32, let's focus on this shape on the outside. We have 4 on the outside, 3 on the outside, 2 on the outside, 1 on the outside. So I'm going to assume that we have to have it start over again. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we know we have a rectangle involved. And then next we have 3, the small shape. So 3, 1, like there's one side, and then 4, there's 1. So then we should have 3 again. 3, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1. Therefore, our answer with a triangle and a rectangle has to be C. So for 33, I'd say the thing that is odd one out is that all of them are scrambled, apart from C, which is actually in alphabetical order. So this one is random. You see A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, S, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S. So that's the proper alphabet. Scrambled. C is the only odd one out. So for 34, we can definitely cross out A. So we can't make any assumptions that it goes underneath, so we can cross out A. And for C, again, we can't make any assumptions that this bit is disjoint. To me, it looks like everything is smooth here. So the ones we're left with is B and D. Now, it's on this bottom corner. We can't really rotate the shape so that it ends up on the top. The one that's easiest to picture, in fact, is B. So you'll see that when we tilt this upwards, we do get this leg on the outside like C. However, the shading would stay on the left hand side. C is wrong because it goes to the right. Same with A. If it's on the top, you just have to imagine bringing this shape up so that the ledge is on the bottom. The shading would be on the top, not on the bottom, so you can cross out A. B, there is no shading at all, therefore it has to be D. So for 36, it definitely can't be A because there's no mini rectangle. When you turn this way, anti-clockwise by 90 degrees, you have circle on the bottom. However, you'll see that this rectangle should be vertical when it's above, so it can't be D. If you twist it, the only one that I can picture is when you twist it all the way, you get that this circle ends up on the right, and then this will stay, it will go upright, and then it will go back to being horizontal. Therefore, the only one that looks like that is C. It can't be B. So we have a clue here that these two bits, or at least here, so this will fold, and this is sort of the angle we're looking at, and we have a cross on the outer sides, and so when these fold in, that becomes the top, and then we have, this is the top, and then we have that horizontal bit as well, that they don't meet, they never meet. So it can't be A because this should never meet over here, and there are no diagonals, so it definitely can't be that. The one that it has to be with the lines here is looking most like C. So we don't know about the other side, but we know for a fact that it's a square going up and the side being horizontal, matching this cross. We know we need to have one side for 38 fully, this top bit being fully a horizontal line, so it definitely can't be B. And this leads me to C because we know that on this big cross side, this cross side over here, let's highlight this, there and then here, we have this little ridge that crosses here and here, they meet, which I can see in C, therefore this seems the most likely. So we are doing verbal reasoning, starting off with question number 21, and we have an anagram here. Something is a country south of England. Now, even if your geography is not that great, because mine isn't, just looking at this, if it's south of England, if it's in Europe, then this looks like it could only be France. So the only one this could be is that the word begins with letter F. So we're talking about fruits with this anagram. It looks like the word peach, and peach ends with the letter H. So the only one that makes sense, stap bow, stap row, doesn't make sense, stap ch, stap b, doesn't make sense, staple makes sense, and least is a word, so it has to be E. So ascending here, order of length, which means smallest to biggest. Smallest is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in loudly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9, we know that loudly has to be first if it's smallest. So we can cross all of them out and just be left with E. The next one again is ascending order of number of vowels. We're underlining important bits. Number of vowels is 1. This is 2, A and E. This was just the A. And then 1, O, 2, U, 3, computers. And ascending means smallest first. So scary has to be first. The only one that is B. So for 26, we're doing alphabetical order, first letter of each word, and alphabetical order, first letter straight away we can see A. A should be first. So we can cross out C and D. What's next? A, B, C, D, E, F. Flowers is next. So we can cross out A, we just get B. For 3-letter words, I can see hat, I can also see ham, and I can also see mat. And I don't think there are any more, so then it has to be B. For 28, we need to find a 4-letter word at the end of one word, start of the next. And I can see over here that it seems like the only word I can see is hefi isn't a word, star, sour. It has to be star over here. So the second letter is T. B is the solution. So for 29, we have a word and then the comparative of it. If someone is taller, quicker, whiter, or slimier. However, E is the only one where we have a noun, but adding ER doesn't make it comparative. It makes it the person who takes photographs. Therefore, E is the odd one out. Question number 30, the only preposition we have is under, because a preposition tells you where something is. Under is the only word, so stuff like hid is a doing word, and we have articles, a proper noun. However, under is the only solution, and that is the VR section.